Okay, shalom everyone. Shavua Tov. Welcome to those new people. Welcome to everybody who's been here before. Bezrat Hashem. We'll be continuing with where we left off in Rav Noson's letter, which he wrote in the year 1843, right before Chanukah. Letter 443 from the book of letters called Alim LiTerufah. But before we go into that, we cannot just avoid the period that we're in right now. We are a little bit over 1 week before Lag BaOmer. And wow, tonight, I didn't count the Omer yet, but I can't say the number of the Omer, but tonight is called Netzach of Netzach, which is associated with Rabbi Nachman. It's the middle point of the Sfirata Omer. Again, I can't say the number because I don't want to lose out the bracha for tonight. And just like you have Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai on the 33rd day, it's Hod of Hod in the Sphira combination. Tonight is Netzach of Netzach, which is Rabbi Nachman's thing. Because Netzach is Gematria Nachman, 148. Netzach of Netzach, the midpoint of Sfirata Omer, associated with Rabbi Nachman. Hod of Hod, next week, associated with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. These two tzaddikim are tag team to help bring rectification to the world before Mashiach comes. Netzach and Hod in the Kabbalah correspond to the legs. Netzach corresponds to the right leg, like lower sphera, and Hod is the left leg, which is also a lower sphera. And being in the low domain, they're out there to reach out and help all the people who are fallen, who are at the domain of the legs, which means two things. Number one, us Jews before Mashiach comes, the end of the exile, the end of this phase of the creation which Hashem has planned, which we have no idea what His plan is. But in these 6,000 years that we're in, from the time of creation until maximum Mashiach can come, so we're at the legs, the end. We're very close. We're less than 200. We're about almost between 200 and 250 years before the year 6,000. So we're very far at the end. Plus, the level of morality, the level of holiness and fear of heaven and emunah that the Jews are holding on now is also very low compared to people of 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. We're very, very low. So these tzaddikim specifically correspond to Netzach and Hod to help be there, extend themselves, being in the leg area, Netzach and Hod being domain of the legs, to stretch out and help the Jewish people who are all the way down there. So it's a very special time. In Breslov teachings, it's a big, big thing. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's yard site, his passing was on Lag BaOmer. Rabbi Nachman didn't pass away tonight. It's associated with him. So there is something connected that's activated in this sphere of Netzach tonight. But Hod Shebehod was the actual passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And it goes without saying that Shimon ben Yochai is Gematria 501, and Nachman ben Simcha, Rabbi Nachman's father's name was Simcha. Nachman and Simcha is also Gematria 501, showing the connection between these two tzaddikim. That they're really, if you want to say in their root, one and the same. There's a connection between them in their soul roots. Shimon Yochai, Nachman, Simcha. And their work together to help this last leg of the exile before Mashiach comes, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're hoping. So it's a big thing, it's a big time, and it's our hope that we can activate enough the light and merit of these tzaddikim, specifically by being happy. That was his wish. That was Rabbi Shimon's wish, that they rejoice on the day of his passing. Not to cry and mourn, but to rejoice over his greatness, that now it's unlimited. Because like we say in Judaism, Gdolim tzadikim b'mitatam yoter mi b'chayehem. Tzadikim are even greater after their passing, more than when they were alive. So it's a very special opportunity to rejoice that we can have access to such tzadikim. But on the other hand, you have to dive in. That's why if you take a look at the beautiful prayer Rav Nosson wrote to be said by Rabbi Shimon's grave, especially on Lag BaOmer, but anywhere in the world, the prayer is really heart-rending. Prayer 47, part 2 of Rav Nosson's prayers. It's very opening the heart that a person recognize his place, his stature, his status, how far he is, how in danger he is, how much he needs to activate the merit of the tzaddikim to help him to come back to Hashem. That's the whole idea here. That we need these tzaddikim to help lift us up, that we come back to Hashem. That's the bottom line of why there's tzaddikim, why there's graves of tzaddikim, why there's hilulas and yartzites, in order to activate their merit to come closer to Hashem. The Zohar last week, Parshat Acharei Mot, went in depth on the power, what can be activated by going to graves of tzaddikim, but you have to be at a certain level and a caliber to do the proper process of what's called hishtadchut, lying on the grave, and it can be dangerous if a person is not ready for that. It can cause them damage, God forbid. But in general, the point comes out that going to graves of tzaddikim is immensely beneficial for the world. And in fact, the Midrash says that the main merit the Jews have, especially in the diaspora, is on the merit of the prayers of the tzaddikim. We go to prostrate on the graves of tzaddikim. The Zohar says, last week's parasha, these tzaddikim, they have their lower soul, which is by the grave. That's the closest proximity to us. So it's activated, and then it touches upon its ruach, and then the ruach to the neshama. And the neshama, so there's two explanations there. Some say it goes straight to Chevron, to the patriarchs, because the entrance of everything is through Chevron, through the patriarchs in Marat HaMachpelah, and then the patriarchs come before Hashem pleading on behalf of their children. But it's the earlier tzaddikim who, those who go to their graves, activate the patriarchs. It's a whole system you can see in the Zohar there, Parshat Acharei Mot. But the bottom line is that this is possibly the most important thing, the most powerful thing a Jew can do in this world to connect, to overcome his obstacles, to make it in the end, is prostrating on the graves of tzaddikim. Specifically, Rav Nosson writes the graves of tzaddikim more than living tzaddikim, because like we said earlier, the graves of tzaddikim, they have now unlimited energy and power, access to unlimited levels of compassion of God, because they're no longer constricted in a physical body, so they have also unlimited access of Hashem's compassion. They can tap into higher levels, and they're just waiting. The tzaddikim, whose whole lives were just to help other people, that's why they were tzaddikim. They gave their whole life for Am Yisrael, and they're just waiting. I'm not going to say they're dying, because they're dead already, they passed on already, but they're yearning for people to come to their graves, so that the tzaddikim can have an opportunity of a catapult to push them, an incentive to push them to go back up, and activate newer levels of compassion that were hitherto, until now, unknown in the world. Rav Nosson writes this clearly in his prayers, that the tzaddikim can access newer levels of compassion that were never revealed in the world, new advices, new tikkunim that were never revealed, and activate them. But it's all dependent on us making the first initiative of first believing in tzaddikim, believing in the power they have while in their graves, and activating that to activate something bigger. And this, Rav Nosson writes, is especially true on Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his grave and his yard site on Lag BaOmer. That's why it's like a national holiday put in the halacha, on the Shulchan Aruch. In the Code of Jewish Law talks about that a person has to celebrate Lag BaOmer. There's no tachanun. Nobody says tachanun Lag BaOmer. Okay? And it's to commemorate partially the passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his merit. So it's something that's world recognized in halacha. It's a part of Judaism, that the makeup of Lag BaOmer in Jewish life. It's a big thing. So we hope, B'ezrat Hashem, we can do our best for those in the Holy Land to get to the grave, and those not to at least celebrate on this day. Extra davening, but extra joy and extra simcha. Those who light the bonfire and dance around it, B'ezrat Hashem, to connect to the light of this tzaddik, which is very, very powerful. And like I said, it's one and the same, connected to Rabbi Nachman. They have the same gematria, 501. Okay, with all that said as an intro, because we're over a week from Lag BaOmer, B'ezrat Hashem. We're going to continue now with the letter. Rav Nosson, we're going to just recap a little and add a new point that Rav Nosson adds in the letter, which is very important. Very important for people looking for the truth. How much they have to extend themselves, to what extent, and how far it goes. So, Rav Nosson, we'll just go up a few lines. Rav Nosson, he's saying, to, again, Rav Ephraim ben Rav Naftali, the son of Rav Naftali, another disciple of Rabbi Nachman, and a close friend to Rav Nosson, one of the closest friends Rav Nosson ever had. He's telling him that I don't regret everything that I'm doing, that he extended himself so much to spread Rabbi Nachman's light and teachings in the world, whether it's through building the klois, the Breslov Shul in Uman for the Rosh Hashanah gathering, whether it was to print and reprint all Rabbi Nachman's teachings, whether it was to speak and inflame the younger generation with the treasures and gems that Rav Nosson received from Rabbi Nachman, and whether it was, like in this case in this letter, the printing of Rav Nosson's insights explaining Rabbi Nachman's teachings, in particular, Rav Nosson's book called Likutey Halachot. So Rav Nosson says, and again, this is a time when none of this was happening. Rav Nosson is like is denting the wall. He's making a crack in the dam to let Rabbi Nachman's light penetrate into the world. There was nothing until now. So he's all alone in this, and because of that, he needed to be super strong and convinced that what he's doing is the right thing. So he says, we're in the middle of the letter, we're recapping these few lines that we mentioned in the last class also. Hashem yitbarach yodea kavanati letova. Hashem, blessed be He, knows my good intent in everything that I'm doing, and in particular printing the first volume of his Likutey Halachot, which was printed in his lifetime. Ubevadai eini shogeh chas shalom bazeh klal. And definitely, I am not making an error, a mistake, God forbid, in this at all. Which is what? Mashani chosef lechol zeh v'chule. In that I'm yearning for this to happen, to have Rabbi Nachman's light spread, whether it's through Rav Nosson's discourses, the books of Rabbi Nachman that he printed, the gathering in Uman Rosh Hashanah, and inflaming and teaching the Hasidim all over and over, writing letters, being in contact with the Breslover Hasidim, all that, okay? But he's writing now something which is the fact. He's now 60, like we said, 64 years old when he's writing this letter, and he's suffering from colitis for over 20 years, approximately 20 years. He's saying now, Ach kashal koach hasabal. We went into this verse last week. It's a verse from Nehemiah. He's saying there's no more strength to carry anymore. I can't carry anymore. I can't endure the burden of what I'm trying to do. V'mei zikna v'seva memashmeshim ubayim. And the days of being old and weak, being elder and old, are now coming. He's 64 years old, and he sees himself as someone young. You should know Rav Nosson was super fast, even in his old age, when going to the mikveh. He was so fast that he was able to do it in and out. Within a few minutes, to undress, go to the mikveh, and undress and come out. Even when he was older, he got himself trained to doing things fast. Rabbi Nachman gave him a blessing that as soon as he put his head on the pillow, he would fall asleep immediately. He didn't waste time. He slept about 4 hours. Rabbi Nosson said about himself, I do everything fast. He would walk at a nice pace and looking down. He would never look past Dalet Amot, his 4 paces. Just an amazing person. And he was living by these directives even when he was in his 60s, okay? So he saw himself as always being young and energetic because he saw himself as a receiver. Rabbi Nachman said once, remember this carefully. Rabbi Nachman said, being old, zelotov. It's not good to be old. Even a chassid zaken, a tzaddik zaken lotov. Even an old chassid, an old tzaddik, being old, Rabbi Nachman was against. You have to always be young, even when you're 60, 70, 80, 90, to have a youthful expression. I remember personally, Rav Michael Dorfman of blessed memory. He was one of the last Breslov elders closing the generation of people who were in Uman before World War II. He was like one of the last people of that time, of that era. And I got to know him for his last 10 years, from the age 84 until he passed away, until 94. And he was so energetic and young, it was unbelievable. He didn't even say, well, I have this, so I'll get used to it. For example, he found out, like in his mid-80s, about a scribe who wrote so beautifully, tefillin, and charged a lot of money. And Rav Michal saw the quality of his writing, how good it was. Even though he had his own tefillin, and he's already 80s, and you would think, if you're 80s, you have your tefillin, you stay with that, status quo. he was willing to pay for a lot of money to buy these special tefillin written by this special scribe with beautiful letter, and also he was a tzaddik of Yirat Shamayim, got up at midnight, this scribe, I know him personally. So Rav Michal just showed his youthfulness, that he was willing to do things brand new, nothing was old. These are the elders of Breslov. They weren't old. They were always young and always looking to do and discover new levels and to advance and not to give up. It's something in the Breslov DNA, if you want to call it, of continuing to advance and not stopping and not getting old. So being old is not good. Rav Nosson is writing that because he's getting weak now at age 64, he's kashal koach hasabal, I can't hold up anymore. And now he says, now the days of being old are coming. Today people are already 50, they're old. They're already squeaky. Like I had this joke, if you remember this joke I always say, why do they call the spray WD-40? Because when you reach the age of 40, you begin to start getting squeaky. So you need to put on the spray WD-40. And based on that, they should make also for more money WD-50 for age 50, WD-60. But the point I wanted to say is that people already, at a young age, they feel old. I can't get up, I can't move, and this hurts, my back hurts, my kidney hurts, my feet hurt, everything's hurting, and the person's tired and cranky, and I don't want to go, I don't have koach, and this. So people already at a young age are complaining about being old. And here Rav Nosson, he's 64, and he's saying that the days of being older are coming upon me. As if they haven't come in town now. But what he's going to say next is what we want to focus on in this class. He says now, V'ha'emet ne'ederet me'od. This is a quote, not the exact wording, but a quote taken from a very important verse from the book of Isaiah, Yeshaya, chapter 59, verse 15, where he's talking about the future redemption, the situation, how it will be before Mashiach comes. So the verse reads, this is again Isaiah 59, verse 15, Vatehi ha'emet ne'ederet. You see? And truth will be ne'ederet. What does this word mean? Ne'ederet. We'll go into that soon. V'sar mera, and someone who is removed from evil, mishtolel, goes crazy, goes nuts, because he's all alone. Vayar Hashem, vayera be'einav ki ein mishpat. And Hashem sees what's happening before Mashiach comes, and it's bad in his eyes. Vayera be'einav ki ein mishpat. Because there's no justice. Everything is crooked. You just have to look today in the media, and the rationalization and the logic of the LGBT and those people who are against Judaism, against Israel, against Am Yisrael, and there's no logic at all. And here in the Holy Land also, the people who are leftists, against the Torah, against the religion, there's no logic at all. You just, when you hear what they're saying, it's so upside down, and people are convinced that that's the truth. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. So what's this word though? Vatehi ha'emet ne'ederet. And the truth will be ne'edar. So there's two explanations on the word ne'ederet. Number one is translated as lacking. Like also Rabbi Nachman uses this word in his book Likutey Moharan, where he says about his Rosh Hashanah, nobody should be missing. Ish bal ye'edar. No one should be missing. Ne'edar. So the word ne'ederet means missing or lacking. So the verse translates here, Vatehi ha'emet ne'ederet. The truth will be lacking. Exactly what's happening today. There'll be such a lack of truth. That's the first explanation. The second is how the Gemara in Sanhedrin, page 97a, explains this verse. Va'emet ne'ederet. I'm reading from the Gemara, page Sanhedrin 97a. Shene'emar va'emet ne'ederet. Shene'emar va'emet ne'ederet v'samar mishtolal. Ha'emet ne'ederet. So the Gemara asks, what does it mean, ha'emet ne'ederet, the truth will be lacking? Amrei devei Rav, from the teachings of Rav, they said like this: Melamed shenaset adarim adarim veholechet la. Unbelievable. He says that the truth will be made in camps. In other words, like eder, like the eder also translates like a group of sheep. Edrei tzon, a little pocket here of sheep, pocket here. That's an adarim. So that the verse says, and the truth will be made ne'ederet, means that there'll be truth hard to find, and you have to go searching from place to place to find the truth, to find the real truth. Adarim, adarim. So the Maharal of Prague explains that they're both connected. That because truth is lacking, it forces people who are honest and sincere in life to start looking for the truth. What we call in Hebrew a mevakesh, someone who's searching, a mevakesh, okay? And the thing is, like the Maharal says, you come to discover one place and you're convinced, I think I found it. I found the truth. The Lord opened my eyes, right? I found the truth. Only to see, wait a minute, things are not working. Things don't feel 100. Things don't smell 100% here. I see a change in advance, but it's not the right address. I feel this is wrong, and then it pushes the person to go to another eder, another camp, another group, looking for the truth until he finally finds it. So the truth, the pasuk is saying that because tehiyah emet ne'ederet, so it's a difficult search. You have to work hard to find it, okay? Rav Nosson is using that word, the wording here. Va'emet ne'ederet me'od. The truth is so hard to find. Ne'ederet. Rav Nosson saying it's missing, it's lacking. What on the first level, what does it mean lacking? That you feel, let's take a typical example, a person or a convert or about tshuva. People who realize that this world is total vanity, a total waste of time, and there's no other greater thing in the world than to pursue the true purpose. What's the true purpose? So people searching will ultimately realize, like Avram Avinu did at age 3, that there's a God. There's a God. Okay, there's a God. So how to worship Him? There's all these varieties of ways to worship, idol worships, etc. So a person who searches more and is looking for the truth eventually comes to Judaism. He sees Judaism is going back from the beginning of creation. Other religions, they started at a certain point, which doesn't make sense. If it's a religion, it should have been there all along. No changes. So in Judaism, which goes to the very beginning, and it's a continuity from the Bereshit, and the Jews every year by reading the Torah again and again, reconnecting to Bereshit, so must be that this must be the truth, okay? So the person or convert or Baal Tshuva, he discovers the word of Judaism. But then in Judaism, he sees all types of groups. There's the religion, Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox, modern Orthodox, conservative, reform, reconstructionist, all these funny names. So he's looking now for where's the truth? So most people who are really sincere and honest, they understand that whoever's going to the maximum to follow the Torah, because that's the guideline, that must be the truth. So they see the changes in reconstructionist or reform or conservative, where there's like, let's make some balance here, let's try to make some exceptions and everything. But a person is looking for a truth, he says that this can't be the truth, it can't be, come on. You're playing games like this. So then they discover the total high level, if it's Orthodoxy or ultra-Orthodox Judaism, fine. So then he enters the world of Torah observant Jews, okay, the Haredi world, the Frum world, whatever you want to call it. And here again, there's different groups now. There's all types of Hasidim, there's the Litvish guys, there's Sephardic Mikubalim, there's the Karlebach style people who are into music and the Neshama and feeling, where's my place now also here? So a person is looking and looking and looking, always jumping from place to place. And every time he finds something, he still feels, like the verse reads, Va'emet ne'ederet, there's lacking. It's missing, okay? Because we are biased, because we're Breslov, let's go to the Baal Tshuva, the convert who ends up in Breslov. He ends up in Breslov, and he says, wow, Rabbi Nachman, he talks to me, Rav Nosson talks to me. No one understands me as well as these tzaddikim. I'm in. I'm all yours, okay? So he enters the world of Breslov, only to discover that even in the Breslov world, there's different opinions, there's also arguments. Rabbi Nachman once said, I brought back a gift to you, my followers. When he came back from the Holy Land, back to the Ukraine after he was in Eretz Yisrael, he said, I brought back a gift to you. Kitot, kitot. There'll be groups in Breslov. In the Breslov movement itself, there's going to be groups. The idea is that there should be classes, groups in the same school, right? In the same building. But not that they should hate each other and there should be rift and rival, which unfortunately does happen, unfortunately. It's machloket. Person sees machloket. And it's not by chance. Rabbi Nachman talks about the machloket, the strife that one finds between tzaddikim and within the movement of the tzaddikim. And he says in lesson 5, I guess it's important to mention this here, that when you see strife amongst righteous people, Rabbi Nachman says, you're the problem. Because if you weren't the problem, you would not see the strife. The fact that Hashem is enabling you to see strife amongst tzaddikim and followers of the tzaddikim is a test for you. What's the test? He says in lesson 5 that someone who, God forbid, blemished the covenant, blemished the drops of his mind, it's such a severe blemish that it distorts the mind, that a person can technically see a chair and think it's a table. In other words, ad kadei kach, so much so is the distortion of losing the brain power. The Rambam says that the drops of semen of a man is his whole energy in chayut. And every time a man emits it, he loses his energy. And a person who is very frequent in sexual activity, they die young. The Rambam says that. They die young from letting out their vitality. That's the vitality extent. We're talking about, there's a mitzvah of the Torah. The Torah tells how much, how often, fine. We're not talking about that. But people who overdo it or waste their seed even, so it's a major blemish of the brain, of the mind, where they can see a distortion. There's an apple on the table, but he sees an orange. Someone says something with that explains the people today, the crazy people today, that it's so distorted. A person with a modicum of a normal brain can't understand how these people think the way they do. It's so crazy. The religion they're trying to present, it makes no sense at all. Kill everyone who doesn't agree with us, we kill them. You're not supposed to live. What in the world? Not even Judaism is like that. Come on. Certain people who are bad, the Torah tells us the Canaanites have to be obliterated, the 7 nations of Canaan. That was back then, okay? That happened already. What do you want? We're now living in a different era. We're not those type of people. But with the blemish of the mind, a person becomes so distorted. So he says, when you see machloket, especially by tzaddikim, and it breaks you, how could this be? I worked so hard to get here in life. It wasn't enough what I went through with the Gentile world, the secular world, and then to find Judaism, and then in Judaism to go up the ladder, and then here and there. And I finally come to Breslov, and I see different opinions and strife. So he says, Rabbi Nachman, it's your test. Or you're looking out, or you're looking in. And he says, look in and pass the test. Close your eyes and say, no, this is the test. I'm being tested to see a distortion, and it's me the problem. My brain is distorted. It's not the reality of the situation. It's my perspective, which is so upside down, and the only way to put me back is I see a strife. Okay? So Rav Nosson is saying this, and it's a big statement. He's saying the truth has become, number one, diminished, chaser, it's missing, but also there's groups. And he's saying that this is connected to that I don't have strength to carry anymore. Because Rav Nosson is fighting against a world that's revealing a type of distorted Judaism. Hard to say this, but hear me out through. He sees what Rabbi Nachman is offering is like a lifesaver, a lifeline in the craziness of the darkness of the world that we're going through in these past 100 years, where all of Am Yisrael is just so upside down. The exile has taken such a toll that the majority of the Jews in the world, how many are we? 15, 16 million? The majority are assimilated, have no idea what Shema Yisrael is, have no idea what Torah is, what Judaism, Jewish values is. If the Jewish values comes from maybe watching the jazz singer or the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, that's their Jewish values that they have if they grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. Okay? There's no Torah based in their head. It's crazy. We're upside down. So a high level of light is needed to save people. So Rav Nosson seeing, tasting what Rabbi Nachman offered. Rav Nosson didn't see Rabbi Nachman, another Hasidic Rebbe from the students of the Baal Shem Tov. He didn't see Rabbi Nachman as that. Other Hasidic groups, that's what they saw the Rebbe. The Rebbe is continuing the torch to give them warmth and strength to survive. But just for them, Rav Nosson couldn't contain himself. He said, it can't be this experience I had with Rabbi Nachman for 8 years. He knew him for 8 years. From the year 1802 to 1810. That's it. That's all Rav Nosson knew about Rabbi Nachman. And it changed his life. not just change his life, it opened his eyes to say, wait a minute, this tzaddik, what he has to offer the world is big. It's for the whole world, even for the Gentiles eventually. Okay, it's for the whole world. How can I just keep quiet and act, okay, status quo, just for us and our Eastern European shtetl life, and that's it? He couldn't contain himself. He says, this is too much. This is such a high level of truth being shown in this world. I have to do something. I can't sit down and relax and do nothing. I got to do something to spread it. I can't keep it just for myself and say, like we say in Hebrew, Shalom alay nafshi, peace to be upon me and you can go and rot and whatever, and may Hashem take care of you. No, Rav Nosson said, I have to spread this message, this light. But he was being faced with tremendous persecution, whether it was from the other Hasidic groups who couldn't stand what he was doing. They felt it was like you can read this carefully in the book Through Fire and Water. You can see there the details of the strife that was against Breslov from outside. So there was from the other Hasidic groups who felt a threat, also the shaking. This is a Hasidic group with no Rebbe. We have a Rebbe, and you guys are dead Hasidim, no Rebbe. Rav Nosson didn't see himself as a Rebbe. He saw himself as Rabbi Nachman's disciple, and that's it, spreading the teachings and the light. But there was opposition. There was opposition from the other religious Jews, the Hasidim. There was opposition from the Misnagdim anyways, because you're anything connected to the Baal Shem Tov, X. And then there's opposition from the secular Jews, the Maskilim were against all the religious Jews. Okay? And then the Goyim, the anti-Semitism from the Goyim. And then on top of that, in the Breslov movement, there were different opinions. Rav Shmuel Isaac had his opinions, Rav Yudel, Rav Naftali, Rav Aaron the Rav. The main students of Rabbi Nachman also had different opinions, but it came clear that Rav Nosson was continuing the line of Rabbi Nachman. That was clear to everybody, that this guy, he's going to continue the flow. He's going to be able to momentum to make it until the flame flickers until Mashiach comes. They saw in that. But there was opposition. And Rav Nosson is saying, how much can you handle? Ha'emet ne'ederet, and he adds the word, the truth is now lacking very much. Me'od, it's a lot. And this seems to be, Rav Nosson says, I can't carry it anymore. There's only so much I can handle in pushing for like a bulldozer, like a tractor, to spread this light that I'm receiving from Rabbi Nachman to go forward. But when there's too much of an attack of falsehood, because the prophecy says that, the Isaiah, the prophet is saying, it's going to be like that. But you're going to have to be looking very hard to find the truth, and it's going to be always lacking. Whatever level you're at, there's lack. It's like, for example, me. I remember when I discovered Breslov, and I only had access to the books. I wanted to see with my own eyes a Breslover Chassid from the Holy Land. Wow, he must be an angel. It must be, after such teachings and people who live by this, they must be angels. And then I see the Breslovers, how they eat, and they're stuffing their mouth, and they're schleppy, and this. Not everyone, I'm just saying what Hashem made me see, so you begin to go nuts. You begin to see, one second, the books say one thing, and the people are acting different. Where's the connection? That's the test. Then you begin to think also, the emet is lacking. The answer is, people from their perspective, there's only so much they can connect to the absolute truth. They're trying to be in line, that their truth should be in line with the absolute truth, the real truth. But we're all human beings. We all have our lackings from our sides. But it doesn't come to put X on the truth we're looking for, Rabbi Nachman's truth, the Torah's truth. The Torah is absolute. I like it how Gedalia Fleer wrote that in the book, in the opening of his book, Against All Odds, that the only thing that's complete in the world is the Torah. The Torah is considered shalem, Torah emet. Now, it's our learning the Torah, our perspective of the Torah, that gives it its shape, that it looks not perfect. Look at these guys, how they are, schleppy and everything. And you would think the Torah is supposed to have a nice representation. The Jewish people following the Torah, they should match the Torah. The Torah is so beautiful, so complete. So the people living by the Torah, they should also be full and complete. Answer is, we're in this world. We're all reincarnations. We're sent back because we're missing something. There was something to fix. So we're not perfect. We, not perfect beings, trying to connect to something perfect. So there's bound to be a picture of emet ne'ederet. There's bound to be a picture that emet is lacking. There's something missing in the emet. What can you do? Okay? So, but not to blame, if it's lacking here, so this must be the X. The X must be in what I'm trying to follow. No, this argument is dangerous because you can use that for everything in the world with other religions. It's missing and lacking, but the problem's in me. That's why you have to join your search of the truth with a lot of davening. Rabbi Nachman says, you join emet with emunah. You're looking for the truth, and you have doubts, so you have to daven. You have to throw in your emunah in the picture to join emet and emunah. It's one of the main lessons in lesson 7, Likutey Moharan. To join emet and emunah. You're looking for truth, but it's not enough because you can believe in something which is false. It's really false. You can believe in something which is truth, but then the lackings are in you. Fine, but it's the truth. I know I'm connected to the real truth. But then you can use that to an argument and convince yourself, be convinced that something which is really false, and then use the same argument, but the lacking is because of me and everything. So because of that, you have no choice but to look for the truth and ask Hashem, like King David says in chapter 25. Chapter 25 of Tehillim says a very powerful word. King David says there, Hadricheni ba'amitecha. Hashem, guide me according to your truth. Guide me according to your truth, not my truth. I don't trust my truth. I don't trust my truth, Hashem. I don't trust my perspective. I give over everything to you, and you guide me. Okay? This chapter, by the way, chapter 25, you should know, with these words from King David, and it's so appropriate for this chapter. This chapter, 25, is the right chapter to say for Nefilat Apayim. Nefilat Apayim, after the Shacharit morning prayer and Mincha, we do what's called falling on the face. Okay? Falling on the face, it's literally falling on the face. But according to the Kabbalah, it's extremely dangerous. Because you're going now, after davening the Shmoneh Esrei, which is considered almost a complete unification with God, by the end of the Shmoneh Esrei, right after that, we do what's called vidui and go down, descending to the depths of evil, of impurity, to collect any holy sparks that are trapped there that I today, with my morning prayer or afternoon prayer, can collect. The danger is that if you're not fit, you can get stuck there, God forbid. You won't come back out. So it involves saying chapter 25 and also falling on one's arm. So now the Sfardim, because of the danger of this combination of falling, putting the head on the arm and saying chapter 25, the Sfardim just say chapter 25 and don't do Nefilat Apayim. The Ashkenazim and the Chasidim, they do the opposite. They do the actual motions of Nefilat Apayim to show that they're going down, but they don't say chapter 25. Some Chasidim do, and that's really scary, that they do both. They do the chapter 25 and they do the Nefilat Apayim. But what's the point is this chapter, the Arizal says, and the Zohar, the details of this chapter are meant in the wording and the gematrias and everything. You can see it in the Arizal's writings. They match to extract holiness trapped. So it's not by chance these words of King David, Hadricheni ba'amitecha, guide me according to your truth. It's found in this chapter 25 of the Nefilat Apayim, of the Vidui Nefilat Apayim after the Shmoneh Esrei. Because it's an expression that a person doesn't know where he's going. He's in total darkness, and he's confused, and he's frustrated, and he cries out to Hashem from the depths, please guide me according to your truth. Because that's all you can do when you're looking for the real truth. Okay? So this is where Rav Nosson is saying, the truth is ne'ederet. It's in groups, and it's lacking. And because of that, Rav Nosson says there's only so much I can do at this point. And it hurts. I mean, he's saying the reality. Again, the verse says that's how it is going to be before Mashiach comes. That's what the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, and what the verse says in Isaiah, chapter 59. Ha'emet ne'ederet. It's very difficult. And someone who's removed from evil is considered mishtolel. People look at him like he's crazy. Or he himself goes crazy. He's trying to do good, and it's considered crazy. So meaning, you need a lot of miracles in life to be able to hold on to true sanity, but sanity even in Judaism. And even when you're finding a high level quality of truth in the Judaism, you still need a lot of miracles to make it through. No guarantees. And you don't say, so if that's the case, let me drop everything, chas v'shalom. No, for then you're for sure in danger. Here, at least you have a good chance. You have a chance to make it B'ezrat Hashem. Fine. So now, we just want to finish off with something related to this that Rabbi Nachman did say. Rabbi Nachman gave an analogy, a parable, of a merchant of Hungarian wine. This appears in the book Likutey Moharan. The merchant of Hungarian wine is not like today buying Hungarian wine like Tokay or whatever. Hungarian wine was a special process of making wine. It was a very delicate, and because it was a delicate process, it was very expensive. It was a process where they would have a vat of a barrel of wine, okay, and then from the new crop of the next year, they would create a new vat, a new product of wine, of grapes, which were beginning to ferment, and they would delicately, very carefully mix it with last year's vat of wine. Okay, so there's a big risk of everything going sour, okay, going bad. So they did it in a special process, and then the third year, the new vat, they would add that to this previous mixture, make a bigger one, and they would do this process for about 10, 20 years, adding the new to the old. And the taste that it was expensive wine, because it was very hard to do, and most chances it didn't work out. But when it did, so when they would sell it in the market, it would go for a lot of money. It was very expensive. So Rabbi Nachman said there was a Hungarian wine merchant, okay, and he was traveling with his servant and the wagon driver with the consignment of barrels of Hungarian wine that he had behind him. And they were traveling to these places where people who are special wine connoisseurs are buying the wine for a lot of money. So they were traveling a long time, and they said the merchant, the servant, the aide, and the wagon driver, they said to the merchant, we're traveling with you a long time and we're suffering a lot. You never give us the taste of this wine. Let us at least have the good fortune to taste of this wine. So he gave them the taste of the Hungarian wine. Fine. Many years passed, and the servant was no longer working for him. And this servant happened to be by an inn, a hotel, where there was a group of people sitting and drinking wine, and they were in a very happy mood, and they were he overheard them praising the wine, saying, "Psh, wow, this is Hungarian wine, everybody here, it's Hungarian wine here." So there was a commotion, and he also came because he knows how Hungarian wine tastes, he tasted it already. And they were giving out free samples for people to taste because they wanted to share of their goodness with other people. So he said, "Ten litom, let me taste from the wine." They gave him to taste, and he said, "I'm sorry, this is not Hungarian wine. I know because I used to work for a Hungarian wine merchant, and I tasted it, and I'm telling you, this is not Hungarian wine." They got so upset that how dare you, we're giving you to taste for free, and you come and say with such audacity that this is not Hungarian wine. Dachu, they kicked him out. And he's telling them, "I'm telling you, listen to me, this is not Hungarian wine," but no one listened to him. So Rabbi Nachman said that before Mashiach comes, there will be many false leaders in the world at large, in the Jewish world, and in the Frum world, and even in the Breslov world, yes. And each one will claim that their wine is the authentic Hungarian wine. But Rabbi Nachman said they can't, but they won't be able to fool my true followers because they've already tasted the Hungarian wine. Saying that anyone who's tasted Rabbi Nachman's teachings, anyone who's been zapped by Breslov, but on a very personal, deep level, was willing to make a commitment. That's it. Rabbi Nachman, you've changed my life. You saved me. I'm all yours now. I'm all yours. After what I went through with what you shown me into your teachings, Rabbi Nachman, and it's changed me so much. It's helped me so much. How could I go back to anything under that anymore? It's like a commitment. It's like a one-way ticket. I can't go back anymore. I've tasted this light. I can't go back. And even if I do go back, I'll always have regrets because I've tasted this light. So Rabbi Nachman said they won't be able to fool my followers. Other people can be fooled. He mentions all these funny names of European wines, Stravica, Volchishia wines, all these funny names, European names, Eastern European names of wines. They'll give them and they'll say, "Wow, this is the real wine of the Torah." The Torah is called wine. Wine that has been stored in the grapes from the 6 days of creation. It's a big term, okay? It's a very, very big term, right? And that's the Torah. That's the Torah of Atik, the Torah of ancient one. It's considered the high level of the Torah. So many tzaddikim, many people, leaders, false leaders, will try to present their teachings, and people following will say, "This is the real deal, real deal." Rabbi Nachman said, my followers, my true followers, they won't be able to fool that easily because they've already tasted the real wine. So going back, Rabbi Nosson says, "Emet nederet me'od," that the truth is really lacking, very much. And because of that, you have to search. And Rav Nosson is saying this is part of his lack of strength to continue. It's a war against this brick wall of falsehood in the world, of dented truth, and he's trying to spread the real truth of what he sees, what he perceives. We're going to see in the coming paragraph how he expresses what's in his heart. And he says, nobody has yet tapped into what I have in my heart. We'll go into this hopefully in the next class because it's a few lines here, B'ezrat Hashem. But we should have this in mind, and we should always join our prayers with the truth and pray about the truth. That's how you join Emunah with Emet, is that you ask Hashem for the Emet. Hashem, I don't know anymore. I don't know what you want from me. I'm frustrated. I don't know what is the right path to do. I don't know what is the right, which is the right rabbi to follow, which is the right thing to do. I don't know anymore. I'm so frustrated. I already asked in the past, and I asked people, and I just got blown out. Backfired and just disappointed and heartbrokenness. So Hashem, I don't know anymore. Please guide me according to your truth. This is our key, B'ezrat Hashem, to continue and make me B'ezrat Hashem. Thank you for joining. And if you want to give feedback or just say hello or anything like that, please reach out by WhatsApp. WhatsApp only, please. No phone calls. Private message on WhatsApp. +1 732 800 1863. Once again, 732 800 1863. Or by email. Email address is breslovtherapy, BRESLOV therapy.com. Thank you. Have an amazing week, and may the light of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, which starts from Netzach tonight, continue and shine until Lag BaOmer, and then Lag BaOmer we should have the major mitigation, and that should prepare us to receive the Torah again on Shavuot, B'ezrat Hashem. Shalom, shalom, be well, and thank you for joining.